It's good news for the children and the families, particularly those living locally here. Um, this is our third special class, having established our first one back in 2013. Our second one followed shortly after in 2015, and it would be fair to say that it's been that experience has been usually positive, and we've had a lot of success with the provision in those two special classes since their inception. So we hear anecdotally that there is demand for additional places in the general South Clare, East Clare area, notwithstanding the fact that there are a lot of additional classes open now in schools over the last number of years. So it's good news, and we look forward to engaging with relevant families between now and September.
You are Sixmilebridge, Clare's fastest growing town. You're the biggest primary school in Clare's fastest growing town. How much of a need did you have for this additional special class? And okay, so I suppose, will you inevitably need another in the coming years?
It's very hard to project that, Dara. We, as you said, have experienced a lot of growth here locally, but also in the school over the last 10, 15 years. And for those that are familiar with Sixmilebridge, we know that there is a lot of development currently ongoing here, a lot of new houses under construction. We're expecting that we'll have increased demand for places in both mainstream and special classes in the years ahead. But I'm not sure that that will necessarily translate to additional demand for special class places, particularly in classes designated for children with autism. Um, we're 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 expecting some level of demand for the additional special class places that open in September, but it's not yet clear if we'll be full to capacity. Um, the I suppose the broader context is interesting as well, in that, like, even though, as you say, we're a very rapidly growing town here in Sixmilebridge, we're experiencing a lot of challenges in the school. We are losing at least three very important and very critical teaching posts next year: one in mainstream, one support teacher post, and one EAL teacher post for children with with English as an additional language. So that's going to compound the pressures we are already under, and we would really be hoping that in the months ahead, that there will be some amendments or changes to the staffing levels, particularly teacher staffing levels, for the coming school year and beyond. Um, like, I suppose, going back to the theme of the special class provision, um, ultimately, for most, if not all, primary schools with special classes, the intention is to provide an opportunity for the children in special classes to integrate and to participate in activities in the mainstream setting as well, insofar as each child is able to do so. But it's particularly difficult when the classes are as large as they are here in Sixmilebridge, and I know that that's an experience in other schools too. Like, the class sizes at primary level are the biggest in the EU, and all the while, there are, I suppose, competing demands on the teachers and indeed the children themselves, where the classes sizes are so big. The other thing, I suppose, that I hope will get a bit of attention in due course from both the NCSE and the Department of Education, and indeed government, is the provision of additional supports to children of other with other types of needs. So any of the special classes that have been announced for opening in September 26, just like the last few years, are designated for children with autism. And that's certainly right, and it's necessary. But there are many other children who go to school in a mainstream class every day with very profound, in some cases, very profound special needs, and they require a very specialised setting as well, beyond what's currently available in mainstream schools. So, like, I'm talking about children with, severe ADHD, those with hearing or visual impairments. Um, Severe reading difficulties is becoming more and more challenging in certain schools. There are children with general learning difficulties that are struggling to cope in a mainstream setting because the availability of the class teacher's time, the support teacher, and the SNA provision is much more limited than really it needs to be. And then I noticed recently on RTE News there was a call from Down Syndrome Ireland um, for the government to establish special classes for children with Down syndrome. And I suppose the final remark on this then would be that I think maybe your listeners might have heard anecdotally, but we can testify to this, that there are more and more children in primary schools, let alone secondary schools, but in primary schools suffering with mental health difficulties. And again, there's little additional provision available to them beyond what teachers try to provide every day. Much of the time is out of goodwill. It's not because there's additional staffing or resourcing available in schools for them. So there's a lot of good news in relation to primary education and additional places, but there certainly are an awful lot of complications and challenges that teachers, children, and families have to navigate through each and every day.